going on, everybody? This is Brant with CPC Bodybuilding, the home of men's classic physique. Today, we've got a preview of the Charlotte Pro men's classic physique. Who better than to have on than last year's Charlotte Pro champ and 2023 Olympian, Daniel Fabode, a.k.a. the Black Rambo. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's an honor. How you doing?
Yeah, always, man. So yeah, guys, we got a great preview coming up for you guys. But first, before we jump into the preview and the lineup, want to make sure that you guys go and follow Daniel on his Instagram right here. So it's the Black Rambo right here. So make sure you guys go give his page a follow and support him. So yeah, we got the Charlotte Pro coming up this weekend. This is going to be on Saturday. You can expect prejudging to start sometime in between probably 9 and 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. And finals are set for 4 p.m. Eastern time. Now, we do have a couple other pro divisions besides Classic going on, so it may not be a super quick start time at 9 and 4 respectively, but they will be on shortly after the other two divisions. So this is our full Classic lineup. Got a great slate of athletes here. Lots of talent here. So we'll just go ahead and tackle this lineup. So we got Eric Avalon, Tomas Adame, Armando Aman, Brady Barnes, Rodrigo Coelho, Stephen Daniels, Jayshawn Fernando, Alexander Galan, Lucas Giannini, Barry Irving, Abner Logan, Jim Maychak, Jake Fippen, Kenneth Richards, Lamar Shaw, Fabione Sylvain, Jordan Tripp Arthur, Rob Van Sant, and Jay Yoon. So that is our lineup right there. We'll start out with Eric Avalon out of the United States. So Eric is definitely one of many up and coming stars here in Classic. I think Eric has tremendous amount of talent. This is his latest update. This is 5 days out, and Eric last appeared at Hurricane. I don't think he did quite as well as he wanted to there, but typically a first call out guy. Was 5th at New York last year, and his condition looks pretty solid compared to what it's been in the past. Daniel, what do you think of Eric's?
I agree. I competed with him at whenever he turned pro, actually, at U Nationals in December, I think 2021 or something like that. But his issue has always been conditioning. That's what I've seen. He doesn't have any lagging body parts. He's heavily muscled. He looks freaking great. It's just always been like if this guy gets conditioned, that has always been my idea, my opinion of him. But he looks here freaking pretty peeled. I mean, we're talking about like hamstring striations, glute striations. He's looking really freaking good. I actually haven't seen these pictures. This must be his latest ones, right? Like a day ago or something. So he looks gnarly. So if he brings this or something sharper, I think he'll be up there in the first call out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Definitely think first call out is pretty reasonable for Eric here. And I think he's been taking this show pretty seriously. He's kind of tired of hearing he has a lot of potential, I know. So he's trying to really, really get that signature one. So Eric Avalon. Next up, we got Tomas Adame. Now, you've competed with him a couple of times, too. You saw him last year at Charlotte, last year at Pittsburgh. What do you think of Tomas?
So, going into Pittsburgh, I had seen some pictures, because that's the show, that what you're seeing right now is what the show will compete against each other. And I thought he was going to be a force, right? But whenever we stepped on stage, I think potentially something went wrong during prep, and the fullness wasn't there. Conditioning was there, but because the fullness wasn't there, nothing was pushing against the skin. Like you can see, he has straighter glutes, everything is there. However, again, I think he had a problem with the fullness. I think if he made some improvements and gained some weight as well as kind of conditioned, he'll have a really good chance. Do I see him winning the show? No. He's just a smaller guy structurally. He's shorter. He's very impressive, but I think he has a little bit of time before he starts, making some damage in his pro shows.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's some really big guys in this show, and that might give him a little trouble. But structurally he's great, and if he brings that extra fullness, we know the conditions can be there. But Tomas is a very, very classic athlete, I think, in terms of just what he brings to the table. It's just might be a muscularity thing here. And speaking of muscularity, we got our next competitor, Armando Aman. So he last competed in 2022. We'll go with some recent updates here. So this was 6 days out. So Armando took fourth at the 2022 Tampa Pro, and then sixth at the 2022 Savannah Pro. And both of those lineups had a lot of Olympians in them. So he was competing against a pretty good crop of athletes. I think the muscularity is what stands out to me. What kind of stands out to you in some of these photos?
Same muscularity. He has great conditioning as well. I feel like some physiques, unfortunately, lean more towards bodybuilding than they do classic, especially when you hit an abdominal thigh or a front double bicep. If there's no vacuum there, or if your vacuum does not look good, it takes a lot away from the physique. Because whenever you see this tight chest, this guy's peeled. He's freaking, he has a lot of muscle on him, right? He looks great. But again, when you put him next to someone like Jay Unt or next to someone like Eric, when they hit a vacuum or when they hit that front double bicep and they look just more classic, it's just a division, right? So I think he'll beat a lot of people just off of conditioning and muscularity, but it's just the shape that I feel like is slightly off, that might be holding him back. Again, though, that can be he can beat people, even with this shape. I'm just saying that I see him more as a bodybuilder than a classic guy.
Yeah, I feel it, man. I think what you're alluding to is the front shot, especially the front shot. Typically, people don't want to say it, but in classic, it matters a little bit more, I think, than probably some of these other divisions. So the front shot is probably where some of these other guys make up some ground on Mondo. So, but again, another really spectacular athlete who's consistently a first call out guy. So he should be pretty. Next up, we got Brady Barnes, who was a 2022 Classic Physique Olympian. He won the 2021 Heart of Texas Pro, I believe. So I think this is his latest update. So this is 8 days out. Brady's a taller guy. I think he's got really solid structure. Daniel, what do you think is some of his strengths?
It's his freaking arms. Look at those things. They're massive. He looks very classic. I really like his physique. And a lot of those taller guys, for some reason, remind me of Logan Franklin. I think there's another guy in this lineup as well that looks very similar to Logan. I really like his physique overall. I think, and with taller guys, it's having, the lower, body half developed sometimes is tough. So I think with him, especially with such a big back and arms, maybe if his legs were a little bigger, it would look more proportionate. But as of muscularity conditioning, he's there. That's the only thing that I could say I could pick off of him. Maybe a little bit bigger legs.
Yeah, I was trying to find. I think he might have some stage photos like way down here.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you had a stage shot, it would be more honest.
Yeah, I'm trying to find like a front on stage photo. This is probably a little bit better.
There we go.
I don't think his condition was as good as it was at the pro show he won the year before. But yeah, I think I had kind of the same critique was the legs weren't quite up to par with the upper body, and I think that's just because he's a taller guy. And taller guys typically have a harder time filling out their legs. But when the conditions nail in the lower half, I think he could probably look a little bit more proportionate. Like the look at Heart of Texas that he won compared to the Olympia, to me, was like a totally different look. And I think if we saw that Heart of Texas look, he could be a first call out guy here. I think he's pretty solid. It's just
he looks great. Don't get me wrong. That's solid physique right there.
Lots of lineup. So that is Brady Barnes. Next up, we've got one of the best Masters pros out there, in my opinion. This is Rodrigo Coelho out of Brazil. So this is his latest update aside chess. So he won the Charlotte Pro Masters 40 plus last year. Really talented. And I think the muscle maturity is what stands out most to me. Like just super hard and grainy, just
Mm-hmm.
very nasty looking muscle, which is always one of my favorite looks. Classic. So um, Rodrigo, I think, is also doing the Masters here as
Mm-hmm.
well. Should definitely be in contention for winning that as well. So it's Rodrigo Coelho. Next up, we got Steven Daniels, and he last did the Open division at the Chicago Pro, which
Okay.
I was kind of intrigued by. You don't see a whole lot of Open guys come down to Classic, but he's
Classic,
got a
yes.
couple of the show. So here is a side chest we got right here. Pull up a couple other shots. Do this front double right here too. All right. So Daniel, what do you think of Steven's physique?
So, and we're picking hairs here, right? Like everybody looks great. Um, and when I'm making this commentary as well, I'm not trying to knock on everybody. It's just I don't see him being like with the guys that are showing up. He's gonna have a hard time. You
Yeah,
know, he's obviously has a great structure, a lot of muscularity. That side chest kind of exposed him on the conditioning aspect. He didn't look as sharp. Great front double bicep. Um, but again, I feel like you know he would need to put on some either change the ratio of his muscle, maybe have bigger legs and take some of the muscle from up top. But if he was already at his weight cap in classic doing open, and maybe that's why he did open, um, downsizing, I don't see that physique looking better. You know,
yeah. I think this was before the weight cap increase too, so that could have also
but
played a factor into it. So I also think the condition just needs to be a little bit better too, because
I
what you're
agree.
going to see here in this back double, again, this is also splitting hairs. He's not in the pose yet, but like if you're going to look at the lower half, like this lower half does not match the upper
Yeah,
half here. So I think probably just a little bit more muscularity and then just improve the condition. Again,
conditioning, 100%.
structurally, he looks really good. But that
Yeah,
is Steven Daniels. Next up, we got another Masters pro. This is Jayshawn Fernando. He is Sri Lankan American, so I think he's the third Sri Lankan pro bodybuilder ever, which is
that's
really.
awesome.
Um, so this is him at Charlotte last year competing. I think he was in the. So this is the Master
Masters.
40 plus. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. He's also a lifetime natural. So I mean, looks fantastic for being
That's awesome.
a guy too. But yeah, I think he should do pretty well here in Masters as well. So that is Jay Sean Fernando.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we got Alexander Galan. So he turned pro at Masters Nationals last year. Really solid competitor. I think he won the 35 plus division in his weight class. Looks to be like a taller guy if you just look at some of
Mm-hmm.
these shots right here. It's not in the pose there, but side chest here. I think pretty solid overall, especially in the upper body. Um,
Yes.
lower body could probably come up a little bit, but I think that's because he's probably a taller guy again.
Mm-hmm. And probably the age too. I find that like after the age of 35, 36, if you're not genetically blessed to just have massive legs, which even then they'll downsize, but not to the degree where it's too obvious. I think with the age as well, he looks phenomenal. Like I'm hoping at 35, I'll be able to look close to this.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Alexander is definitely. If I haven't looked to see if he's competing in one of the Masters divisions, but he could be right up there as well in the Masters. Next up is one of the dark horses, I think, who probably hasn't been getting quite as much media attention.
Mm-hmm.
Is Lucas Giannini out of Brazil? Try to find something that's a little bit higher quality, but this guy is insane. He was the 2022 national champ in classic physique.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find some. Okay, this side chest is pretty gnarly.
That to me looks like a Logan Franklin 2.2, a Brazilian Logan Franklin 2.2, 2.0. I don't know why I said 2.2, but he looks more dense muscularity wise. and he's peeled. There's nothing really because I was looking at him earlier, and I was like, there's nothing really I can pick on this guy. You know what I mean? He looks great. He has muscularity. He has the conditioning. It's just looking at him next to the other guys that are going to be at the Charlotte Cup. If it translates the same as it does in these pictures, he'll be up there fighting for, the top five, top four, whatever. So he looks phenomenal.
Yeah, he was fourth at Tampa last year, which if you remember, Tampa's always a really good lineup too.
Mm-hmm.
I think the question will be, does he have the muscularity to hang with some of these guys?
Yeah.
But if so, he matches up shape wise and condition wise, I think very well.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That is Lucas Giannini. Next up, we got Barry Irving, a.k.a. IFBB Pro 40. We'll see if we got some police out of this one. Yeah, I think this is pretty recent. So Sporty is definitely one of the best posers out there. Just knows how to present his physique very well. Took second at Optimum last year. Maybe he took third at Optimum actually. I mean, Barry's just a fantastic classic physique, just like very proportioned and balanced. What do you think?
Yes. I freaking love his physique. He has something that's very exceptional. He has gnarly erectors. Like from the back, it just looks like two slabs of meat were stuck to him. I don't know if there's a picture of it, but he took one the other day and he just looked insane. And he was just sitting there. He wasn't even flexing. Like you said, exceptional poser. Super nice guy. We competed at the Charlotte together last year. And he's just, again, I feel like if conditioning is there and if you put on a little bit more muscle than last year, he'll be up there. Yeah, I really don't. Like you said, the proportions are there, the muscles there, conditioning. As long as that's there, he'll be good. Yeah, I don't remember where he placed last year at the Charlotte. I don't remember if it was first or second.
I think he was top 10. I don't know if it was first call out though. I'd have to go back and look, but I want to say it was like something like eighth, maybe seventh or eighth, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's capable of first call out in any
Yes.
show. It really just depends on kind of the condition, I think. So
Exactly.
yeah, but Sporty again, just very classic. I love his look.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, we got Abner Logan. This is a guy that Daniel and I were talking about before we started recording. This dude just came back to Classic. Like, he hasn't competed in 4 years. This is his last show, which was Chicago in 2020. I think he took fifth there. 2019 Olympian. Just looking at some of these stage shots, what do you think of his physique, man?
I think he's very unique because from what you told me, he's also tall. He's gnarly looking. This is and I was saying, like you said before we started recording, I think he's going to be up there, like top three. Fighting for that first place. Now it depends. It's been a long time, so if during this time he's been putting on muscle and he's able to make the weight cap and he comes in conditioned at least to this degree where he's here, I don't think there's much weak points at all. And especially because he's taller, he's going to take a lot of room on that stage. So you're going to see him. There's no way you're going to miss him. The only thing, that I was able to notice a little bit, maybe a little bit of a not as shallow, but like not as wide of a back, but it's still impressive. Like, this is a crazy looking back double by. So yeah, I was very impressed because I didn't even know who he was until you showed me the picture. I was like, dang, where is he coming from? What is going? Do I have to worry about this guy? So he looks good, man. He looks really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Just structurally very gifted, has a lot of muscle, great shape, like very proportionate. It's all there. So I think he could also be, in that discussion for a top spot. So that's Abner Logan. Next up, we got Jim Maychak. So Jim turned pro. This will be his pro debut. Jim turned pro at 2022 Masters Nationals. Here's a front double. I think this is probably his best pose. He's got really solid fit through the lats, arms. They're really solid. Good condition in the legs, but in terms of some of these Masters guys, you kind of have to grade on a curve with the legs a little bit.
Exactly.
The leg condition is great. It's just in terms of proportion, it's not quite like with the upper body. But
Yeah,
for a Masters pro, incredible. I think. So
I
um,
agree.
that is Jim Maychak. Next up, we got Jake Fippen. So Jake took 10th in his last appearance here at the San Antonio Pro. We'll pull up a side chest. Jake's got a really solid classic physique, I think. Um,
Hmm.
what do you think of some of these shots here?
Is he Masters or is he like a open guy?
So he's doing open, but I think he's also a Masters competitor too.
Okay. He looks great, man. I really like that side chest. I don't know much about the guy, but from what I see here, if conditioning is there, he look really freaking good. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know much about him though. From what I see here, excellent physique.
yeah, very solid. Especially, I think he can definitely be in contention for that Masters title if he's competing.
Yes.
I haven't seen if his name's on that list, but if he's competing in it, he'll be hard. I think if the conditions there. Next up, we got Kenneth Richards, and I'm curious
Mhm.
if you remember this guy. You actually turned pro with this guy. So
Okay.
Kenneth, he won, or actually no, he was second in Class
Second.
D.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yep.
he's second
Yep.
in Class D at 2022 Junior USA's. Let's see if we can find a better shot. But really tall dude, like
Yeah.
big structure. Um, pull a front double here.
Okay.
Very structurally gifted, I think. Um,
Hmm.
I
I'd
couldn't
say
find a
for
good thing though, so I'm
Mhm.
kind of wondering. This has been a while. It's been a good 2 years, so I wonder
That's what I was
what
gonna say.
it looks like now.
Right. If you put on some muscle on those legs and those arms, that chest, he's proportionate. He just needs to grow overall from this picture. If he did so, I think he'd look great. And because his lineup has a lot of tall guys, if he has that muscle, it would be um, a great thing to see him against the other tall guys with the added muscle. But definitely a really good. This is his pro debut.
Yeah, yeah,
That's going to be a really good pro debut for him. Especially if he made the improvements needed to get that attention.
yeah, absolutely. So that is Kenneth Richards. Next up, we've got a guy who I think deserves a lot more credit than he gets. This is Lamar Shaw. He is a
Hmm.
2022 Classic Physique Olympian. He won the Houston Tournament of Champions Pro back in 2022. Um, and I think he placed sixth at Charlotte last year, which was a bit of a disappointing finish for him. But what do you think of Lamar, man?
I think he looks really good on his own. I think arms could come up a little bit. Other than that, he's very muscular, very classic. Um, but I do think when you put him next to guys like the last lineup at the Charlotte, some of those things that you might not see on individual poses get exposed whenever he's next to guys. So he has really big legs, but they're not bubbly, right? They're more like straight up and down. And this is again, we're splitting hairs here. We're not talking about, this guy's miles away from us, but at the same time, those little details play a big role. I think it was not a thing. I know it was between me and Justin Ballerina last year, and Justin, he has very bubbly classic muscle. He hits that ab and thigh or that front double bi without vacuum, and you're like, this is the definition of classic. So this is the thing. These are the things that people are like the judges, I believe, are looking at. Yes, he has the muscularity and the conditioning, but does he fit the classic category? But if we're going from a bodybuilding perspective, muscularity, conditioning, proportions, he looks incredible. I've been a fan of him for a long time. Like I said before, a lot of these guys, before I turned pro, I was a fan of him. He's been one of them. I've always been like, why isn't he getting more exposure? Why haven't I seen him more? And it's probably just that when you step next to other guys, you a lot of times get exposed, and that happened to me as well.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. He has great shape. It's just
Hmm.
there are just like a couple of pieces that need to be added on. Like I think really just the arms and the delts that would make
That's it.
a pretty big difference, and he very well could have improved those things because he's been off stage for a solid year. So
Hmm.
he's had the time to take some time to add size. But I love Lamar's physique. So
Same, same.
that's Lamar Shaw. Next up, we got Fabione Sylvain, who is out of the Dominican Republic. This guy is the biggest wild card in the whole show. Last showed
Yes.
up Puerto Rico in open bodybuilding 2 years ago. Um, he did win his classic pro debut a few years back, beating Julian Castano, who is,
Mhm.
you know, I think he's a Colombian. Yeah, he's a Colombian classic physique pro who's been to the Olympia before. So he's proven himself against good bodybuilders. It's just been a while since.
Mhm.
So what do you think of his physique, man?
I told you before we started, I've been upset at this guy because I was supposed to go against him like 3 times this past year when I competed. And I really wanted to because, like I said, like you can look great with that natural lighting, being about 6 weeks out, having that thin skin. But you never know what these people look like on stage. And yes, he might have a great shot on the front of a buy, but what happens on the side chest, on the back of a buy, on the side tricep? In my opinion, from what I've seen of him, I'm like, he could be Mr. Freaking Olympia. This guy looks insane. But I don't see him on stage enough to be able to have a clear picture of what he looks like on stage next to guys that are classic. Um, Again, super big fan of his physique. I think at this show, if he shows up conditioned, because last time I seen his glutes, there was like a picture here of a back double by, and his glutes were not fully in. If he's fully conditioned, even if he's like 5% off, I feel like he could still be competing like right there. If he shows up like this, I still feel like he would be competing for the first, second, or third place, just because of and I don't know if it's muscularity or just the way that the muscle hangs off the bone on him, but it looks very dense. It looks very classic. Very small waist, thick legs, thick arms. He hits a vacuum. There's nothing really, again, missing. I think it's going to be between him and the guy that competed at the Chicago Pro last few years ago. You know, I think those are the top two for this competition. As long as both of them show up, you know, as promising as they look on their Instagram.
So that's the biggest key, man. Does it translate to?
Mhm.
And the thing about Fabione is, like, we know he looks spectacular in his lighting, his chosen photos, and everything.
Mhm.
But how does it translate to stage? And
Exactly.
I sure as hell hope it translates to stage because this guy is so exciting to see.
Yes.
I think he could really, if he can nail the condition, like throwing him into that top 10 at the Classic Olympia, that would be fun
Mhm.
because he's got the
Yes.
size to hang with anybody.
And that's why I want to step on stage with him. It's going to be a big challenge. I'm not saying I can beat the guy. I'm not saying, but at the same time, I want to see myself next to that because that's freaky looking right there, dude. Like you don't see that, especially in classic. If you told me open, maybe, but it's very when you feel intimidated, it's usually because the person potentially looks better than you. And I want to compete against the best. I want to, be beat so I know what I have to improve and get better. And I think that's what made me kind of like upset last year that I kept on wanting to step on stage with him and it never happened. And am I happy? Yes, because I might have not gotten my qualification for the Olympia if it showed up at the Saddle last year. But again, though, you want to step next to the best in the world. You know what I mean? Not just people that you can beat or win without having really someone to challenge you as much as you'd like to. So I definitely want to see him on stage, and I definitely want him to keep competing. Because I would like to step on stage next year and be able to stand next to him.
Yeah, that would be exciting, man. So that is Fabione Sylvain. Next up, we got Jordan Trip Arthur, who last appeared at the Mid USA Pro. He's one of those guys who always nails the condition, just very great detail and muscularity. I think his front shots and his side shots are spectacular. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
just from some of these shots, what do you think of his physique, man?
I think he has a great physique. I think, like you said, front and side shots look great. I think he could definitely put on some size from what I'm seeing here, to be competitive. And I think he's also a shorter guy, right?
Yeah,
So with the shorter guys, I noticed that they need to be really full, really big, really round muscle bellies to take away the eyes from the taller guy. And I think that's potentially what he's missing, right? Like those flaring quads, are they there? Yes. But if they're more bubbly, that would give him the wow factor to, pull the eye to him. Same with the arms, same with the lats and the chest. But all in all, like you said, he looks peeled to the bone. He looks like he has a great structure. It's just that bubbliness that I feel like he's missing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing too, I had some people kind of like knocking down the door when I was posting my lineup card, and they were like, "Yo,
Hmm.
where's Jordan? Where's Jordan? Like, why didn't you mention him?" It's like, one, I only got so much space, and two,
Right.
Jordan's fantastic, but there are a lot of talented guys in this lineup, and
Hmm.
a lot of complete guys in this lineup. And I think what you're going to see here, I'm trying to find a back shot. Jordan's back needs to come. This doesn't really
Okay.
do a whole lot of justice. This was about a year ago, but if you look at stage photos of his back is
Yeah.
going, and that's
Yeah.
not.
Even here, you can tell that the whole posterior, from the back to the hamstrings to the glutes, even to the quads from the back to make them more flaring. It seems like in its growth. Again, you know, we're talking about the best in the world here. So whenever people are watching this, I hope they don't see it as, oh, we're knocking on people. No, but if you're looking at the best of the best, you have to pick hairs, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But he's shown that he's capable. So I mean, he very well
Hmm.
he could prove me wrong here. He's been top five at a pro show at Mid USA. So
That's it.
he could shake things up. That's Jordan Tripp Arthur. Next up, we got Rob Van Sant. Rob last appeared at the New York Pro. Didn't do as well as he would have liked here, but he did place top 10 at Pittsburgh. He seems to just get bigger and better every year.
Mhm.
I've been really impressed with the improvements he's made. A photo of his transformation. He had a really, this was his pro debut here on the left, and then
Okay.
Pittsburgh
Wow.
last year on the right. Um,
Wow.
so 10 pounds of stage weight. I think the fuller look definitely does him a lot of good.
Hmm. It's time for him, right? Just time to put on the muscle. I don't think he's missing anything. I think it's just, he has to grow. And once he grows, as long as he comes in conditioned, then we'll really be able to tell where he's standing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rob is a really solid guy too. Definitely want to give him a shout out. He's always been very
Yeah.
supportive of what we're doing over here, um, and just a quality dude. There's a lot of quality dudes in classic in Rob's
Yeah.
corner. So shout out to Rob. And our last competitor is Jay Yant. So this is his latest update. This was from 5 days ago. So we're 3 days out now. So this would have been 8 days out. And
Yeah.
go through some of these shots. Daniel, what do you think of this guy?
This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the bubbliness, right? Like this is the roundness and fullness of the muscle in combination with the conditioning this guy has. It's just, it's almost like unfair. you know, um, he looks wild, man. And this is just off of one growth phase or growth season. We competed at the Pittsburgh together last year. And when I heard that he's getting, ready for a prep, I was like, has this been enough time? And then when I seen the pictures that he posted, I was like, when I seen the body, I was like, is that Jay or is that somebody else? And it was him. And it's just wild. I mean, look at the flare on those quads, both in the adductors and the quads, the biceps, the chest, the lats. He reminds me almost like a fuller version of Urs. You know what I mean? Like a more bubbly version. So I think he's going to be a big problem for a lot of people. You know, um, as the more he steps on stage, the more people are going to be like, "Dang, where the heck did he come from?" Um, and honestly, I'm excited to step on stage next to him again, as much as I am with, Fabione that we talked about earlier. I'm really looking forward to it. I also know his coach, and they're both awesome guys. They just put in the work. This guy trains, so he definitely freaking grew a crap ton this past year.
Yeah, I was just blown away when I when I saw these updates, man. Because it's
Right?
like if you, I'm trying to find the ones. Yeah, these were just crazy.
Like,
Just look at
yep.
side by sides. Like the front relaxed here is what got me. This is just
Isn't that
nuts.
crazy?
Yeah,
I don't know how they did it, but they freaking did it.
I think that's just it's a product of just nailing your off season, just
That's
eating
it.
properly and in training your ass off, and I think that's what he
Yeah,
did.
I agree. I agree. And people don't understand that. They don't understand that the off season is really where you put in the work for the prep. Prep is only 20, 25 weeks, at least for me. Um, so that's just chipping away the fat that you have on. So people don't understand that, that prep time is the most irrelevant part of your whole preparation for the show. Prep starts as soon as prep ends. As long as you start being productive as soon as your prep ends and you put on that tissue that you need to, those are going to be the results, which is again crazy to see. And last year was I think his first year competing as a pro. I think he came to which one was it? Charlotte. I think Charlotte
Right.
was his pro debut. Yeah, and he placed like what, top six, top seven at his pro debut, and then again first call outs at the Pittsburgh Pro 2 weeks later. And I seen him and I was like, dude, I salute you, dude, because you look freaking insane, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for you. So
I think it's bright, man. That's for sure.
yeah, 100%.
All right, so that's our full lineup, guys. Now we're gonna get into our picks for the show. So we got our full lineup. I'll put the lineup card right here. What are your thoughts? Do you want to do like picks in order? Or you want to do like a first call out and then pick a win?
So I could give you the top three for sure, and then the rest is kind of like hit or miss because it's depending on how people show up. You know what I mean? It's so like hit or miss with the people that I see here that I'm not sure if they're gonna be like fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh. Um, but yeah, I'll go with top three, and then who else I believe is on that first call out.
Yeah.
I definitely think Jay Yunt is gonna be top three. Um, And the reason why I'm going to put him first is because I've seen him on stage before, and I know his conditioning is better on stage than it is in those pictures. When this guy shows up, he's peeled inside out from the back and front. Second, I'm going to put Fabione. Third, I'm going to put, um, did you say his name was Barnes? The
So
guy from the Chicago, yes, this guy.
Abner
Um,
Logan, yeah.
Logan, yep. But this also depends on how he looks after this much time off, you know. Then I believe Sporty is going to be in the first call out. And after that, I'm kind of like, I'm not sure. The guy that looks like Logan Franklin, we talked about him. I think you said he's from Brazil, or I don't remember
Oh
where
yeah,
he's from.
yeah.
Yes, this guy as a first call out as well. Um, and then the rest, that would be my top five. The rest are very easily interchangeable. Obviously, you would be able to pick who the last ones would be, but at the same time, think it's very debatable. You know what I mean? It depends on how they show up, what they did in their off season. Because again, most of these guys have had time off to grow. So it would be unfair for me to say sixth place, I believe is going to be this person or that person. So, but my top five, I think would be, like I said, Jayunt, Fabione, Logan, um, Sporty, and then this guy.
Okay, yeah. Very solid top five. And I think we've got a similar outlook on this. It's going to be interesting to see who shows up on and who does not.
Yes.
That's the biggest factor. Um, so I'll go with my top five here. I definitely think Lucas is going to be in there. Lucas from Brazil, just structurally very classic. Conditions going to be there. I think he probably will get beat in terms of muscularity by probably the rest of the guys in the top five, but he's definitely going to be there. I also I think Lamar is going to surprise some people. I think he's had some time to do do a little bit of work in terms of adding size. We know the condition is going to be there. I think he'll get in that top five. I'd be pretty surprised to see him outside of the top six. Um, just knowing what he brings. I think he's had plenty of time, and I know he works really hard. So I
Hmm.
think Lamar will do pretty well here. I've also got Abner Logan in there as well. I pulled up this guy's Instagram and was just shocked at how I had never seen this guy before. But
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't been on stage in nearly half a decade, so that's kind of the reason why. So we could get a physique comparable to this. We could see something way better. Who knows? But we see anything similar to what he brought at Chicago in 2020, I think he's right there.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely I got to put Jay in there. I mean, when I saw his updates, and this is just standing alone. Like when you know bodybuilding and you watch bodybuilding, you know what a winning look looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at these photos. I was like, he doesn't have any weaknesses. He's
Yeah,
complete. And I don't think a lot of guys can say that. Just period. And especially in this lineup. So I think Jay has a very good shot spot here. I mean, he could, just depending on how soon these guys come in, Jay could win. So
mm-hmm.
Jay right there. But my winner, I gotta go with Fabio. I think just structurally, he is just so hard to beat. Like this dude,
Yeah,
he's a mountain. Like this guy
yeah.
is massive. I think his condition. Okay. I sure as hell hope his condition is going to be on it because I want to see him 100% because this guy structurally is good enough to challenge Chris Bumstead, and that's saying a lot. So if
Yeah,
his condition's there, I think this guy wins the show. But I think if he shows up anything less than like 85%, he
mm-hmm.
leaves. So that's going to be the ultimate question. But I think he shows up at least 90%. He takes the win. That's
Yeah.
my pick. But um, it's going to be a really interesting show.
I agree. I agree. I wish I was there, honestly, but the boy has to eat. I got to get bigger. So
Yes,
next year,
next year, yes, sir.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, you guys heard it here. That's our full picks, the full lineup for the Charlotte Pro this year. Again, make sure you follow Daniel here. Again, he won last year's Charlotte Pro. So this guy is a very, very tough bodybuilder. You'll probably see him on stage next year again for the Charlotte Pro. So make sure you give him a follow here. He is the Black Rambo here on Instagram. Make sure you support him as well. Use code for Clinical Labs. Check out his coaching stuff too. Um, but yeah, that's going to do it for the preview today, guys. Before we get out of here, Daniel, you got anything you want to say to the people and shout out to them?
Just thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Shout out to my sponsors, Clinical Labs. Other than that, I hope I'm going to be in this lineup for the Charlotte Pro next year, and I hope that you have me first. so, but no, I really appreciate you having me. I definitely feel like classic physique needs this. We need something like this where we're targeting just classic physique, but because I see a lot of physique and open bodybuilding having their pages and talking about bodybuilding, but I don't see a lot of classic physique pages like this doing what you do. So we appreciate it, and you're a part of it too. So you live it. It's not just like you just talk about it. You compete yourself. You have a very classic physique. So we appreciate it, and I'm just excited for the future of this and of classic physique.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you,
Of
because
course.
it's athletes like you who are putting on for the division who make this worth covering. So,
Yes, sir.
pleasure's all mine, man.
Awesome.
All right, guys. So that's going to do it for the preview today. Again, this is Brant signing out. Make sure you guys keep it classy. We'll see you later.